You know, we're all a little obsessed with sleep, right? We track it, we try to hack it, and most of us feel like we're just not getting enough. We blame our phones, our jobs, our crazy modern lives for stealing our rest. But what if the real story of human sleep and how our ancestors actually rested is way more surprising than we've ever been told? Let's dive in.
Okay, so to really get into this, we have to start with the one piece of sleep advice that, let's be honest, we all know by heart.
It's the question that literally keeps us up at night. I mean, we're surrounded by artificial light, endless stimulation, and the story we tell ourselves is that all this modern stuff is just fundamentally messing with some ancient, natural way of sleeping.
For decades, this has been the gold standard, right? 8 hours. The magic number that doctors and wellness gurus have been telling us is the key. If you get anything less, you kind of feel like you're failing.
It's such a romantic idea, isn't it? You can almost picture it, our ancestors, free from the glow of a smartphone, just drifting off to sleep soon after sunset, and enjoying these long, uninterrupted nights of perfect, restorative slumber.
Okay, but what if that whole picture is just plain wrong? What if our entire idea of natural human sleep is built on a complete myth? This is where the story gets really interesting.
So to figure out how we're actually wired to sleep, scientists had to go on a search. They needed to find people whose lives are as close as you can get to the world we evolved in, a world without electricity, thermostats, or, Netflix.
And that's exactly what a groundbreaking study back in 2015 did. Researchers used something called actigraphy. Think of it like a super-accurate research-grade Fitbit to track the sleep of the Hadza and the San, who are hunter-gatherers, and the Tsimane, who mix in some small-scale farming. These groups are giving us this incredible window into our evolutionary past.
And what they found, well, it completely blew up everything we thought we knew. First off, they don't sleep more than us. In fact, their average sleep time is kind of on the low end, even for modern industrial societies. And get this, they don't just crash when the sun goes down. They're up for more than 3 hours in the dark, hanging out, socializing around the fire. And napping during the day? Nope, surprisingly rare.
And here's another huge piece of the puzzle. You know that idea that maybe our ancestors slept in 2 chunks every night? Well, this study found the opposite. These groups had one solid, continuous block of sleep. It was incredibly efficient.
Okay, so this discovery just opens up a whole new can of worms, doesn't it? If our ancestors didn't sleep longer than us, was there something different about the quality of their sleep? And this leads to a really powerful new theory.
All right, let's zoom out for a second and look at where we fit in our own primate family. When you line us all up, something totally weird stands out. Humans are the short sleepers of the primate world. I mean, we sleep less than any other ape or monkey they've studied, by a lot. But, and this is the absolute key, here's the trade-off. While our sleep is short, it's incredibly powerful. We spend way more of our sleep time in REM, that really deep, dream-filled, memory-making stage of sleep, than any of our primate cousins. We basically traded quantity for quality.
So all of this points to one really elegant idea, the sleep intensity hypothesis. The basic thinking is that way back in our evolution, we were under this intense pressure to get all the benefits of sleep in the shortest, most concentrated dose possible. But why?
Well, to answer that, we've got to jump in our time machine and go way back, about 1.8 million years, to what might be one of the riskiest, but most important, moves our ancestors ever made.
Just look at this comparison. It shows how drastically our whole sleep setup changed. Our great ape cousins? They're sleeping in these nests high up in the trees, safe. Our ancestors? They came down to the ground, and that forced a complete rewrite of the security plan. Suddenly, safety wasn't about being high up, it was about controlling fire, having a bigger group, and maybe even having someone stand watch through the night.
And you can really see that whole journey right here. As primates got bigger, where they slept had to evolve. They went from little tree holes and branches to these complex treetop platforms, like what a chimp builds, and finally, for our ancestors, to beds right on the ground. This wasn't really a choice. Our growing bodies basically forced our hand.
And let's be clear, sleeping on the ground was terrifyingly dangerous. You've got predators like saber-toothed cats prowling around. You've got way more biting insects. You're losing body heat to the cold ground. In a world like that, spending hours and hours in a light, vulnerable sleep, well, that was a death sentence.
So the takeaway is pretty clear, right? Evolution started favoring a whole new way of sleeping. The individuals who could get their rest on quickly, get into that deep sleep fast, and just minimize their vulnerable time, those were the ones who survived and passed on their genes. Our sleep became short and powerful because it had to.
And what's cool is we've got the brain wiring to back this up. Deep in our brain, we have the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. You can just think of it as our master clock. And it doesn't just make us sleepy, it actually pushes against our sleepiness with a strong stay-awake signal. What that does is it squishes all our sleep together into one super efficient, solid block.
Okay, so after this whole epic journey through our evolutionary past, what does any of this mean for you, tonight, in your nice, comfortable bed? How do we take these ancient lessons and actually use them?
You know, it's so easy to blame our phones and our screens for everything, but this research points to something much more fundamental. It turns out our brains are still tuned in to these ancient environmental cues that we've pretty much designed out of our modern lives.
And two of the biggest, most powerful of these cues are light and temperature. First, light. Those hunter-gatherer groups get a ton of bright light, especially in the morning, and that's like hitting a giant reset button on your body's clock. And second, temperature. They all sleep as the air temperature around them is naturally dropping, and that drop is a huge signal to our body to, shut down and stay asleep.
There's this amazing quote from the sleep researcher Alan Rechtschaffen that I think just perfectly sums all this up. Sleep isn't some bug in the system. It's not a luxury. It's this vital, powerful adaptation that was shaped by some pretty intense life-or-death pressures.
So maybe it's time we reframe our whole obsession with sleep. Instead of just asking, am I getting enough sleep, maybe the better question is, am I getting the right kind of sleep? Are we giving our ancient brains the signals they evolved to expect? Are we tapping into that short, deep, intense sleep that is our unique human inheritance? That's the real question this incredible story leaves us with.